Well, 1994, I guess at the end of your prison term, you end up getting deported back to El Salvador.
Actually, I fought my case this time. For the first time ever, I got arrested for a parole violation. And I fought my case, and I actually won. I only did 8 months. And this time I wanted to stay, right? All the other time I was like, I'm tired of this violence. I'm tired of all of this that's taking place. I wish I could just go out and build a life for myself. And I couldn't, because I was stuck in this cycle of violence. And this time I had a baby that was just born. And I wanted to meet him because Moms was also part of the gang, and she had warrants out for herself as well. So, she couldn't bring my baby to see me. So, this time I wanted to stay, but I was processed to immigration. I didn't have any attorneys to represent me there, and I had no choice but to be deported. So I signed my deportation and went back to El Salvador.
Okay, now this is crazy because you haven't been to El Salvador since you were, what, 3 years old?
No, 5.
5 years old.
7.
Okay, 7 years old.
Yeah,
And
I don't know El Salvador.
you're 21 at the time?
About, yeah.
So you're getting taken back to a place you're very unfamiliar with. And not only that, once you get there, you realize that the MS-13 18th Street Gang War was actually happening in El Salvador as well.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It was for me, yeah. But it's only a matter of understanding that the wars in El Salvador had ended, right? So now there was a push to deport folks, right? You also had what was called the Oklahoma bombing, right? That really stirred up a lot of hatred to immigrants as well, just based on, even though, who committed that Oklahoma bombing was white.
Right.
Right?
What does that have to do with Latinos?
But they implemented the Anti-Terrorist Act law during the time in 96, right? And the IRA that became a law that now anybody that was here illegally and they committed an offense, they could be deported and get their green cards or whatever protection they had taken away, which was nothing. In that time, the judges had a lot of discretion to have somebody in front of you that maybe committed a crime 20 years ago, but now he's a business owner, he's got children, has a home, right? And what's going to be the impact on the household, the children, and society overall if you deport this guy after he's done something that he's repented, that he's shown good moral character after this? That discretion was taken away by those laws, right? So for me to be deported to El Salvador, and go down there and see that I arrived at El Salvador with just a backpack, a little paper with the address of where I lived, that I didn't know how the hell to get there. But in my mind, I was like, I want to go back to El Salvador. I want to go see all these places that my friends always talk about that I don't know, right? But being on the, this guy told me how to get there, and I got on the back of a pickup as I was going down the highway to a terminal. I saw in a boulder on the hill, MS-13. And I said, oh, wow. Well, yeah, I have a lot of friends that have been deported. Okay, that's not surprising. But then along the way, I saw another brick wall that had the Roman numerals XV111.
18.
And then I said, oh, shit, they're here too. So my mind of going down there with an opportunity to give me a chance to basically start over, not have immigration chasing me, not have, LAPD after me, not have rival gangs after me, right? That I felt like a tourist going down there until that moment. That shit went out the window. I felt a little safe for a minute. And once I saw that, my sixth sense kicked in. Now I'm gotta look around and see everybody's waist to see if they might have a weapon, everybody's hand. I need to look for tattoos. I need to identify what might be a threat. And that became kind of what my mindset just kicked in, as soon as I saw this.
Well, around the time that you went back to El Salvador, we got deported back to El Salvador, it was a very interesting time because, like you said, a whole bunch of Salvadorians were being sent back. Now, before that time, there was no major gang activity in El Salvador. But now you had all these MS-13 members now forming MS-13 gangs in El Salvador, and then you had the 18th Street gangs. And part of the problem was this was after the whole war situation, and there was a peace accord that got signed, which basically said that they couldn't use the army as the police anymore. They actually had to create a whole new police force, which meant that there wasn't much of a police force to begin with. So MS-13 and 18th Street were essentially running wild without any law enforcement. Is that a fair assessment of it?
Well, there was, when I arrived, there was this national civil police that were put in place that one third was going to be former military, one third were going to be former guerrilla fighters, and one third was going to be civilian population. That formed the new national civil police, right? The other thing that happened was that when folks like me were being deported, we weren't going down there with the intentions or a mandate to start cliques or to start warfare. Actually, in the beginning, 18th Street members and MS-13 members got along down there. Even though there were a war here, but they were saying that's another issue. That's up there. That's not here. But what happened was that people like me go down there, had tattoos. I wasn't able to get a job. I was thinking about maybe going into the tourist industry. I spoke English.
Yeah.
I said I could do something here with just the language I know. And no, that went out the window, man. Everybody was terrified of me because of the tattoos that I had. I had on my fingers, I had on my arms, right? So, no employment. The other thing that I saw was that there was all these kids that were fruits of the war, right? That their parents had gotten murdered, that their mothers had gotten raped, and there were kids that were abandoned in the streets. They called them glue sniffers, huele pegas. And these
they'll
kids
get high off of glue.
were
Yeah.
getting high out of their bags with glue, and they will go up to you and just ask you for a coin, and people will push them out, spit on them. I saw the police hit them with their shotguns, right, that they used back then. And this kid started looking at these guys like me, and they said, "Man, but he's a criminal. I'm street." They look at me as a criminal, but they fear him. They don't fear me. So, and we're looking at shit, man. I'm over here. There's another rival gang over here. I'm over here alone, and these kids know the neighborhood. There's a bunch of them. It's like it became like a natural marriage between the street children that wanted to have some type of respect or something worthy of dying for because they were being neglected, dying like dogs in the streets. And then you had these guys that were being deported like me that were saying, fuck, man, I'm going to get killed over here. I might as well have these kids that want to be part of this fucking join it, and I bless them. I'll give them the blessing.